My grandmother always said that a house isn't just wood and nails. It's a living thing, breathing with the memories we pour into it. But I never really understood what she meant until the day we had to sell our old family home. It stood on a quiet, tree-lined street. A two-story blue house with a porch swing that had creaked under the weight of 3 generations of our family. I was 8 when my grandfather first taught me how to fish. We didn't go to a lake or a river. We went to the backyard. He had this small, inflatable pool, the kind you get for kids. He'd fill it with water from the hose and toss in a few rubber ducks. He handed me a little plastic fishing rod with a magnet at the end. "Now, son," he said, his eyes twinkling, "the secret to a good catch is patience." I remember sitting there for what felt like hours, trying to snag a yellow duck, while he told me stories about his own father. Stories of real fish, big ones that nearly pulled him into the water. But in that moment, under the shade of the old oak tree, those rubber ducks felt like the greatest catch in the world. That same oak tree was where my dad built me a hut. It wasn't fancy, just a few planks of wood nailed together with a rope ladder that was always a little wobbly. But to me, it was a castle, a spaceship, a secret fortress. It was where I'd escape with my comic books, where my sister and I would stage epic battles with our action figures, and where I shared my first secret with my best friend. The view from up there wasn't much, just the rooftops of our neighbors and the endless blue sky, but it felt like I was on top of the world. The kitchen was my grandmother's kingdom. The air in there was always thick with the smell of something delicious: cinnamon rolls on Sunday mornings, simmering spaghetti sauce on Friday nights. She had this old worn-out wooden spoon, its handle smoothed down from years of use. She called it her magic wand. With that spoon, she could fix anything, from a burnt pot of stew to a scraped knee. She'd sit me on the counter, give me a little piece of dough to play with, and tell me that the most important ingredient in any recipe was love. I can still hear her humming, a soft, off-key melody, as she stirred and kneaded, pouring her heart into every meal. Every Christmas, the living room transformed. The old, slightly lopsided artificial tree would come out of the attic, and we'd spend a whole evening decorating it. My job was always the tinsel. I'd throw it on with wild abandon, much to my mum's organized dismay. We had this one ornament, a little glass bird with a chipped wing. It had been my great-grandmother's. Every year, we'd argue about who got to hang it. It was a silly tradition, but it was ours. On Christmas morning, the floor would be a sea of wrapping paper, and the air would be filled with laughter and the sound of my dad's terrible Christmas carols. But time, as it does, moves on. My grandfather passed away, leaving the porch swing quiet. My grandmother's hands, once so nimble, grew tired. My sister and I grew up, and the treehouse became a home for spiders and fallen leaves. The laughter in the house grew softer, the rooms bigger, emptier. After my grandmother joined my grandfather, the house fell silent. It was just my parents and the echoes of the past. The decision to sell was a practical one. The house was too big, the upkeep too much. It made sense. My head understood it, but my heart ached with a deep, profound sadness. The day the for sale sign went up on the lawn, it felt like a betrayal. We spent weeks clearing out the house, each object a time capsule. I found the old plastic fishing rod in a dusty box in the garage. Holding it, I was 8 years old again, listening to my grandfather's stories. In the attic, tucked away in a corner, were my old comic books from the treehouse. I found my grandmother's magic wand in a kitchen drawer, and for a moment I could almost smell her cinnamon rolls. The hardest part was the growth chart. On the doorframe leading to the kitchen, my dad had marked our height every year on our birthdays. Leo, age 5, Sarah, age 7. It was a physical timeline of our childhood, etched into the very bones of the house. My mum traced the highest mark, her finger lingering on my name. "You grew up so fast," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. But we all just stood there, looking at those pencil marks, a silent testament to a life lived within those walls. On the final day after the movers had taken the last of the furniture, I walked through the empty rooms one last time. The house felt hollow, a shell of its former self. The floors creaked under my feet, but it was a lonely sound now, not the familiar groan of a house full of life. I stood in the living room where the Christmas tree used to be, and I could almost see the ghost of the tinsel shimmering in the afternoon light. I climbed the wobbly rope ladder to the treehouse one last time and looked out over the neighborhood. As I was about to leave, I saw something on the kitchen counter. It was a small, sealed envelope with my name on it. My mum must have left it there. Inside was a photograph. It was of me, my sister, my parents, and my grandparents, all squeezed together on the old porch swing, laughing. On the back, my mum had written a simple note. "A house is just wood and nails. A home is wherever we are together." And in that moment, I finally understood what my grandmother meant. We weren't losing our home. We were just leaving the house. The memories, the laughter, the love, we were taking all of that with us. It wasn't trapped in the walls or under the floorboards. It was inside of us. The house on the quiet, tree-lined street was our foundation, the place where our story began. But the story itself, the story of our family, was still being written, and the next chapter was just waiting for us, together. As I closed the front door for the last time, I didn't feel the sadness I expected. Instead, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the creaky porch swing, the wobbly treehouse, the smell of cinnamon rolls, and the pencil marks on the doorframe. We weren't leaving a home behind. We were carrying it with us into the future. And I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my soul, that wherever we went, as long as we were together, we would always be home. Thanks for listening. If this story touched you, consider subscribing for more Tales from the Heart. See you next time.